So the Seahawks seem to be going to a little bit of a retool or rebuild, and I think a lot of people realize what they're doing. They're trying to prepare a little more so for the next 4 years than really just finishing the next 2 years and having to fully blow it back up. But they're going through a bit of a retool, and I really like what they're doing. So today I'm going to be going over what I like and what I kind of don't like. So starting off at quarterback, I think that I like Geno Smith, but I think it's obvious that he's not going to be the team's long-term like quarterback solution or really past probably this upcoming year. And I'm really a big fan of bringing in Sam Darnold because I don't think he'll be as good as he was with Kevin O'Connell, and that's just one of my concerns is maybe the scheme in Seattle, but I still think that he can be solid. And I think that's an upgrade for the next 3 years over Geno Smith. And especially if Geno Smith, who reportedly wants into the $40-45 million range, I think you're going to get a little bit cheaper and younger. And I think that's actually a really good deal for them to trade Geno. And a third round pick is probably what Geno's value is. I think that's, even though the QB market in free agency is pretty inflated, it's not for trading. So I think that they get a fair return for him, and I think that you're getting a bit younger of Sam Darnold, and I'm just a big fan of that in general. And one of my favorite things about the Sam Darnold trade is I actually think you're going to be getting a little better. I like Sam Darnold a bit more than I do like Geno Smith, and I think he should fit in okay with the offense. I think we'll see. Like I said, the scheme concerns me a little, but I think he should be able to plug in there. And I think he should at least be to the same level that Geno Smith has been, but I think he can be better. Moving to some other moves they made, trading DK Metcalf, in my opinion, isn't really, a huge shock. We heard about it last season, but also I think that they get fair enough return, a second round pick. Some people might have thought he would be traded for a first, but ends up getting traded to Pittsburgh for a second and like a sixth and seventh swap or something. But I do think that trading DK Metcalf was a fine move. It's kind of, like I said, they're retooling. They're going to reset the offense. They're not going to run it back with almost the same pieces. And I do think that DK, you want to keep this receiver core together, but at the same time, Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to be really good, I think, for the next couple years. And also, you end up signing Cooper Kupp, who definitely is not an upgraded DK Metcalf, especially with the injuries. But he's still a solid player that can come in and fill your wide receiver 2 role. And what we're really seeing is just, like I've said, the Seahawks are just restarting, right? And still on the topic of wide receiver, they also cut Tyler Lockett, which isn't super surprising. It doesn't surprise me that they couldn't get a trade done for him. Just because of age, especially if Cooper Kupp had to be traded. But then they would sign Marquise Valdes-Scantling, who honestly, MVS really isn't that bad. He had a couple bad drops for the Chiefs a couple years ago, and that's where some of the hate comes from. But he's honestly an okay wide receiver that definitely deserves some credit and love, right? He will most likely be the receiver 3 behind Kupp and Jackson Smith-Njigba. But I do think that you're not upgrading from DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and JSN, but now having JSN, Cooper Kupp, and MVS, it's definitely a downgrade, but it kind of sets them up a little longer term where they're not going to have to pay these guys, other than Cooper Kupp, who's getting $15 million a year, which really isn't too bad. Now, they would also sign DeMarcus Lawrence from Dallas, and honestly, I don't hate the deal. It's going to be $18 million guaranteed with a max value of $42 million for 3 years, which only $18 million guaranteed isn't too bad. And this was a Seahawks defense that was pretty mediocre, right? Sometimes they looked actually kind of good, and other times it was just right? So I think that they would also re-sign Ernest Jones, and I think that he's a very solid middle linebacker. But DeMarcus Lawrence is just a little bit older. So with what I've been saying about retooling, it's you want to get younger, but I guess it's still good to have these veteran pieces like Lawrence because he'll be 33 soon. And on a 3-year deal, it doesn't scream at you like, oh, this is going to move the needle. But I don't think they're trying to move the needle this year. I think that they're really trying to set up for 2027. You bring in DeMarcus Lawrence now, maybe in a couple years, right? One of your mid-round draft picks, maybe that third-round pick, you end up drafting a defensive end, right? Maybe in the second round if Pierce from Tennessee falls that far. Or Mike Green seems to be moving up a lot on draft boards. I don't think he's going to be there in the second. But maybe you get one of those more developmental defensive ends that can kind of help be a complementary piece right now, but then they can get into the role in a couple years. So it really sounds like for the Seahawks, they're going to take these next 2 years to find out what they are, see if Sam Darnold really is your guy and your answer. And with only $18 million guaranteed for DeMarcus Lawrence, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a little more front-loaded in case age really does catch up to him awfully quick. But I still think it's a solid signing to go ahead and improve a defense that looked really iffy at times. So with that being said, I just wanted to talk about the direction I think the Seahawks are heading and why I like some of the moves and kind of talk about why some of them could backfire. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and maybe it gives you a more clear perspective on what the Seahawks are doing. And I hope you subscribe and have a good one.